I got different headphones.
Aha. Implanted into your ears.
No, they're bigger.
Aha.
They're like on-ear headphones.
Oh, yeah.
So wait, this is the first time you're...
I think this is the first time I don't have the neckband. Andrew, we're famous.
Are we?
Sort of.
I don't know.
I mean, my friends keep emailing me about
and
the New York Times.
And actually it worked well for me as well, because a friend from early years in Binghamton, who now is retired in North Carolina, gave me a call because he got forwarded that article.
It's bringing people together.
Yeah. Let us rejoice in that, but that's about it. Yeah. I have it here because I put so many comments about, what I would personally change in that article, but I was not writing it, so.
True. All right. So for those who haven't seen the New York Times article, because sometimes paywalls exist, what does it cover exactly?
We'll definitely put a link underneath our YouTube. That's one thing we can do. But then it is actually about our church as a welcoming place, and something I think it's somehow unique in our situation, because we have so many people coming to our community from all different religions or non-religions who want to participate in the life of our church, either in worship or outside of worship.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is a unique feature of large city American Christianity. And we kind of shared it with several people, and they got interested and sent their reporter here. And so we offer them several of those who are coming to our church who are not necessarily Christians, and they wrote about it in the newspaper, and big articles or titles of that article started to be, church where you don't need to believe in God, or
Yeah. I mean, the article was nice. The title was misleading, which titles often are. I know my wife is actually featured in one of the pictures there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
She's a Unitarian minister, and I know she had a lot of comments and questions from some of her Unitarian colleagues about how is this not like a Unitarian church? And I think that's a fair question. But I think, like I said, that title is a little misleading. It's not... Mm-hmm. It talks about not having faith. First of all, it talks about not having faith as if one can come to a church with a different faith or with more of a spiritual but not religious bent and not take something out of it. Mm-hmm. But also, it kind of made it seem like the church itself didn't have a solid faith or Christian understanding, and we very much do.
Yeah, and that was what really was kind of misrepresentation of the situation over here. I have one theory why it became this way.
Okay.
Because in America, I think that the general feeling is that you have these churches which are rather quite well set into their belief structures. Mm-hmm. Okay? And so if you want to be in the church, you have to almost, I would say, subscribe to certain teaching or dogma. And that is not who we are.
No.
It does not mean that we don't believe in Jesus as a savior. It does not mean that we don't believe in God. But we don't insist that people, as they cross the door to our sanctuary or to be with us in many other capacities, have to subscribe into our teachings, or something like that. So that might be that the reporter was kind of perplexed by it, because we don't fit that American presumption of what church is.
Yeah, there does tend to be sort of like a stereotype around that. Mm-hmm. And that's definitely something that I've had to deal with too. I spend a lot of time teaching children, and Sure. Folks get really nervous when it comes to the faith of children. It's a thing that I've noticed in terms of what do they believe? What are they going to believe? Are you going to do this right? And my whole thing is, I know what I believe. And the reason that I know what I believe is that I had pastors and Sunday school teachers and Christian educators who taught me about Christian faith and about Presbyterianism and about the Bible in a way where they were teaching me without forcing their own beliefs or their own faith on me, and I got to go through my own faith journey. And that's what led me here. As far as kids, or adults for that matter, are concerned with me, I want to do the same thing. So I know what my faith is. I feel very secure in that, and I'm gonna teach and preach the gospel. I'm gonna teach and preach about Christ and God and the Holy Spirit, but I'm not on your faith journey. I can be there with you, but I'm not on it with you, so I can't force you to believe anything. I can't tell you how to live. I can't tell you what to believe or how to believe or to believe at all. But I can be there with you as you figure that stuff out, and that's my approach when it comes to faith and when it comes to education. I'm not here to convert you. Nobody here really is here to convert anybody. No. It's about being present and letting our faith be part of the reason that we are present with people.
And you know, to kind of look at it from slightly different angle than what you are saying, I think that very many people who are so focused, you know, how the kids or even adults will be taught or whatever,
as well.
They don't have strong enough faith, I would say, because they are assuming that churches are here to indoctrinate,
right?
You know, or one way or another, positive or negative, and that's not what we are about. We are like an opening possibility. And, you know, I'm coming here from my Moravian tradition or the Czech Moravian tradition, Reformation, which predates Martin Luther, and their marvelous theological position was that all three essentials for salvation really are gifts from God, and that is faith and love and hope, and all these three are gifts from God. We cannot add to it. We can make it possible. We can make a space for it, open the door like for those children. But you know, I have faith that if this is opened, they'll have an opportunity to meet with God or with divine.
Yeah.
And that's it. I think that's the most genuine thing to do, rather than, you know, think about how to manipulate people to believe exactly what I want them to believe, right. You know, or make sure that they are not believing something I don't want them to believe, or
right.
You know, it's just a different take. Again, here we are on a different take, which might perplexed so many.
The other thing, which I think the article does a really good job of capturing, and I think in general, I'm just going to say Americans are bad at, is this idea of church and social justice. I feel like a lot of the times when we're having those conversations, specifically around Christianity, it's this idea that there is a church that is Bible-based and God-loving and Christ-loving, and then there are the churches who just sort of love everybody and do social justice, and it's this weird false dichotomy.
Either or.
Either or, as if
almost, yeah.
As if you can't have a Christian church that looks at social justice and the issues and sins of racism and of environmental destruction, of homophobia and transphobia. Shout out to Bisexuality Month right now. But like, who's dealing with all of those issues and isn't doing it because Christ was at the margins. Because when we read the Gospels, we hear story after story after story of Christ being with the people. Because we don't... They act as if we are not reading a Bible that tells us that we're beautifully and fearfully and wonderfully made. That that spirit of Pentecost didn't go through everybody. Like, I'm pretty sure there were a lot of diverse people in that story. It says it.
Yeah.
And yet they were all affected. And so I think we don't do a great job of talking about how churches use social justice as living into their faith as opposed to almost like a replacement. And we're certainly not the only people who do that, but it just doesn't get talked about.
Yeah, and that was also why, I'm actually thankful for that article, even though it was rather narrow, because it opens this possibility of having those discussions
Exactly.
and show a different form of Christianity in America, which is very often neglected over against those mega churches. And many of my friends in Europe, their impression of American Christianity predominantly is through that view of evangelicals and mega churches and protested abortion clinics and other things, while there are so many faithful Christians like our church who are really bringing and merging social justice and faith. I can speak for myself that for me, that activism, I was not born activist.
Mm-hmm.
I was brought to it through study of theology, through faith. I realized that this is I think that very many of our members are exactly like that. And that's why they are coming and they want to be part of this community. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And I'm glad that we're having these conversations. I'm glad that we're showing that there is indeed diversity within the Christian American world, and that there are churches that don't just fit sort of this stereotype that the news media tends to put out. And we're in the paper, but we're certainly not the only ones.
Oh, absolutely. No, there are many around us. There are many churches who are being neglected, or a whole stream of Christianity in America. Usually smaller churches, I would say like ours, smaller almost by their choice, or not necessarily choice, but by faithfulness in which they exercise their faith. I think that certain numbers or shapes or organizational structures lead into certain forms of expression of faith.
Sure.
And so these churches are generally smaller, 100 to 500 members, but in it is...
I like that was your definition of small.
No, they are even much smaller, especially in rural areas.
I've been to churches that do all of these things and their membership is like 12.
Yes. And then they are like breeding ground of and true Christian theology, thinking, and activism.
Yeah.
And just listen to Jesus's parables. You don't need to have 5,000 members to be an impact in the world. Jesus intentionally picked up, as you said, marginalized, or last Sunday I preached about the yeast, or mustard seed, or you have all these lifting up of those who are small, downtrodden.
Like we said in the service, you don't need a lot of people, or you don't need to be the most powerful or strong or even like the largest person to make a big difference.
Yeah. And there is so much theological thinking and deep theological culture happening, which is unfortunately happening below the radar of main media and so many people. I think that this should be an invitation to any of these communities, not only ours.
Yeah.
Wherever you are, whether it is in Texas or Illinois or California or any other place, Kentucky, West Virginia, I am pretty sure that you can find the faithful congregation of Christians who are living their faith in conjunction of theology, activism, and life in this world.
I specifically know people at churches in all of those states doing those things.
Yes.
And who knows, maybe they'll get featured next.
Yeah,
Let's hope.
thank you.